Hello, everybody, and welcome to our amazing 15th anniversary of the 11 Days of Global Unity. I'm Karen Palmer. I am known as Mindful Media Mom and Miss Kindness on all social media. I'm one of your hosts for this incredible summit that we have today. We're talking about the environment, and we have an incredible panel. But I want to talk to you a little bit about my co-host first. But as you're coming in, please type into the chat where you're watching from, and also let us know if you have any questions so that I can watch the questions as they come up. We want this to be a dialogue so that we're actually connecting with each and every one of you. And if you're feeling like this is something that you really are caring about, please share the broadcast to your timelines, to your groups, and please share it to all of the pages you may manage. And thank you so much for being here. My co-host, Rick Ulfik, who I'm so grateful for. You know, his vision of having this 11 Days of Global Unity 15 years ago has grown into something that is so, so powerful. It's all about collaborating and bringing us together as the human family that we really are. And Rick is the founder of We the World, and you can find out more about We the World at we.net. He's also the co-creator of the 11 Days of Global Unity, 11 campaigns to transform the world, a global platform to unite, amplify the efforts of people, organizations, and movements of movements working toward the common good, with participants such as Desmond Tutu, Jane Goodall, Bill McKibben, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, and many, many more. And today we get to bring in the amazing Chief Phil Lane. Thank you all for being here, and the amazing Sue Blythe, the beautiful, beautiful, amazing idea woman behind the Welcome to We show.
Thank you so much, Karen. And let's tell folks about you. Our host is Karen Palmer, a mom who made a wish that sparked a kindness revolution. She is a global kindness leader and educator at globalkindnesstv.org and a live stream and social media expert, a best-selling author, and she co-produces several popular online talk shows, including the Welcome to We show that she was just talking about. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We encourage you to check out all of our panels of this year's 11 Days of Global Unity TeleSummit to hear all the powerful dialogues on the 11 themes for change. Together, these 11 campaigns form a blueprint for global transformation. Today, we will be talking about environment and the global environmental crisis that all of humanity is facing. And we will be joined by our dear friends, Chief Phil Lane Jr. and Sue Blythe. But let me give like an overview as I see it of this environmental situation that we are all facing. In the United States alone, air pollution kills as many as 90,000 people each year. And according to the World Health Organization, it's about 7 million people around the world that are dying prematurely from air pollution every year. This is why so many people are eager to accelerate the transition to renewable, non-polluting energy systems in the US and worldwide. Though humanity is also facing a global water crisis, a mass extinction of species crisis, and a climate crisis that intensifies all these other problems, our attention and resources are instead being drained as humanity struggles with itself over rising inequality, poverty, intolerance, militarism, and war. So the question becomes, do we need to achieve peace on Earth so we can achieve peace with Mother Earth? Today, to discuss these challenges and help us to find our way, we will be talking with Chief Phil Lane Jr. and Sue Blythe. Chief Phil Lane Jr. is an enrolled member of the Yankton, Dakota, and Chickasaw First Nations and is an internationally recognized leader in human and community development. For over 50 years, he has worked with indigenous peoples in North, Central, and South America, Micronesia, Southeast Asia, India, Hawaii, and Africa. He served 16 years as an associate professor at the Faculty of Education at the University of Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. With elders from across North America, Phil co-founded the Four Worlds International Institute since 1982. Welcome to the 11 Days of Global Unity TeleSummit, Brother Phil.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Rick, as well as my warm, loving greetings to Sister Karen and Sister Sue. Pleasure to be here with you on this beautiful day. I'm here looking out over the beautiful Walla Walla Valley, where my family home is here, and looking out and seeing the incredible beauty that we have been given as a human family. So nice to be here, Rick.
And where exactly is Walla Walla?
Walla Walla, Washington is in the the plateau region of Washington State, Eastern Washington, and right to the south of me here is a Umatilla Confederated tribes who inhabited this whole area. In fact, where we're sitting right now was a former Pony Express stop here, but a big council grounds for all these tribes in this area: Nez Perce, Yakima, Umatilla, Walula, and different groups. Warm Springs, they're all related here. So we're right in a beautiful place with many other good human beings, by the way.
Okay. So I wonder if you would do us the honor, Brother Phil, of offering a Native American prayer of welcome to kind of get us started.
Well, I'll share one of my heart, brother. Ojin Kashila Wakantaga, creator of the universe, most beloved one, all powerful one, most kind one, ever forgiving one, ever abiding one, most courageous one. We call upon your holy power at this time and all those relatives in the spiritual world who are closer to us than our closest vein, to come together with us today and with all our members of the human family, wherever they might be, whatever they might be facing, to uplift us. And to Kashla Wakantaga, we call upon all those tribes in the east from where comes the red sunrise. They might come together in unity and harmony to stand together to end all these reflections of the sickness of the human family in our outer world that are destroying the very essence of who we are, to stand together in unity and harmony in a good way, in a prayerful, good way, but in a strong way to end this. In Kashla Wakantaga, we call upon all those tribes and nations of the South from where comes new life. They might come together in unity and harmony and stand with us in unity for unprecedented unified action to stop all those things are destroying the human family. In Takashi, we call upon all those tribes and nations of the West from where comes thunder, lightning, and rain. We call upon the spiritual powers of thunder, lightning, and rain, that the human family, our beloved ones, we all might be awakened to a full reality that we're one human family, and the hurt of one is the hurt of all, and the honor of one is the honor of all. Turn to the north, from where comes the white snow, where the north winds come, purify our hearts and minds. And we ask all those tribes and nations of the north, they might come together in unity and harmony, as one heart and one mind in a hoop, but a sacred hoop of many hoops. And then we turn to the masculine elements of life, the masculine dimensions of ourselves, and ask forgiveness for our awkward ways. Ask that we might understand what it is to be a good father, a good grandfather, a good grandson, a good brother, a good husband, a good friend, a good grandson. And finally, with great love and respect, we humble ourselves before our Mother Earth. We give thanksgiving for our beloved mothers, for whose wombs we did issue, as we issued from the very womb of Mother Earth. And we ask that all the abuse against women end. That finally we awaken to the spiritual reality of the equality of men and women and men, and understand fully that until the abuse of women stops, there will be no end to climate change in terms of moving it back so we can be in balance again. Because abuse of Mother Earth is no different than abuse of women. So we give thanksgiving for everything that's come to us. We know it comes to us for own perfecting, and we give thanks, so much thanks to everybody and to this wonderful program of discussion we're gonna have today. Haul michante washtelo, shankmano hemeyodo, chinapasaba hemeyodo, haul michante washteho.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brother Phil.
Thank you.
Karen, you want to bring in our other guest and then?
Yes, absolutely. I'd be honored to and grateful to bring in Sue Blythe. Is just an amazing person who is working in this beautiful, beautiful arena of the environment as a really wise woman. I'm so grateful for her, honestly. She has been such an inspiration in my life and in so many other people's lives. But Sue coordinates with We the World and the environmental team and the campaign of environment, and is the collaborative intergenerational storyteller adventures on the road to 2020, 2030, 2050, and beyond. She supports the Earth Charter Initiative and the Elders Climate Action so that her 8 grandchildren can grow up in a more sustainable and just and peaceful world. She's a resident of Florida, and Sue Blythe initiated the Gardens of Global Unity project for the 15th anniversary of the 11 Days of Global Unity. Please go check it out at gardensofglobalunity.org, and welcome, Sue. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Karen. It's really an honor to be here with both you and Rick, and especially with Chief Phil Lane Jr. And I've been looking forward to meeting you for quite a while.
Sue, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing in the world right now to help your grandchildren?
Well, yes, I can. I think I need to start my story when their mothers were little, because I was the mother of 3 young girls, and learned about a peace statement that was put out for the International Year of Peace way back in 1986. And that was called the Promise of World Peace. And it said, from the first time in history, it's possible for everyone to view the entire planet with all its myriad diversified peoples in one perspective. World peace is not only possible, but inevitable. It is the next stage in the evolution of this planet. And I heard that and thought, so what's my role? And how can I be part of this peace and this evolution that really at that point made no sense to me? We're evolving. I didn't get that, but I do. 30 years later, I very much feel that we are in an evolutionary moment in human history. So my first step at helping with this establishing peace on Earth is singing songs with my daughters, and then inviting more and more people and taking it to the schools and out into the community, and decided that this is where I need to spend my time and energy. And I've done that for 30 years. And along the way, I learned about the Earth Charter back in 1998. I followed that last year of global consultation with about 5,000 people before it was launched at the Peace Palace in the Netherlands in the year 2000. And again, this idea that we are, the quote from the Earth Charter says, the opening lines, I should say, of the Earth Charter, we stand at a critical moment in Earth's history, a time when humanity must choose its future. And so learning what that means to have a choice about what kind of a future we have, I started really looking at what people are doing and how they're creating that kind of peace that I want for my world. And the bottom line of that Earth Charter for me is we are one human family and one Earth community with a common destiny. And so I chose to go and work and live with the Florida Coalition for Peace and Justice, continued with the Florida Interfaith Climate Actions Network, finding a beautiful interfaith community to work with. And then in 2015, I went to the University for Peace in Costa Rica, and I took a course with the Earth Charter International, and it was about communicating about sustainability with the Earth Charter, storytelling, and theater. And so that just gave me a real foundation for developing a story that I've been writing really in my heart, in my mind and heart, for 10 years now. And that's for my 8 grandchildren, because I want them to live in a healthy world, a balanced world. And that brings me to my work with Elders Climate Action. And the mission is to mobilize elders throughout the United States to address climate change while there's still time to protect the well-being of our grandchildren and future generations. And we have many different partners that we work with. And right now, the Elders Climate Action is supporting the young people who are rising for climate action with this youth climate strike and a week of climate action, September 20th to 27th, which of course extends our 11 days of global unity a little bit longer. And I'm grateful for that. Several of us have started a Florida chapter of Elders Climate Action, and we're building this storytelling adventure that I've been imagining for so long, and making that a pilot program to bring the voices of the elders and the youth together in a climate conversation. And our long-term goal is to engage children, youth, adults, and elders in a program of climate conversation and action. And that's where our climate collaboratory comes in. So this is a project of We the World and the network of networks in the movement of movements for a world that works for all. I just love that. And so with the 11 days of global unity, we're proud to introduce the collaborative storytelling adventures in the 11 gardens of global unity. Well, we are on the road to 2020, 2030, 2050, and beyond, developing a series of action plans for these milestones. In 2020, we're going to celebrate the Earth Day, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We have the 20th anniversary of the Earth Charter. And during the 11 days of global unity next year, the caravan of unity is coming across the United States, and we want that to be happening in other places as well. In 2030, we are celebrating the big win of the global goals, and that includes peace on earth. So that's part of our storytelling, that this is possible. And then by 2050, we're going to celebrate the drawdown to reverse global warming, so we can breathe easy that our Earth's temperature is coming back down. The Secretary General of the UN says it's a race against time. We can win, and we must. And so this is where we turn it into a kind of game, what I call the Sustainable World Games. And we have all kinds of races, challenges, missions to accomplish so that we can win all of these global goals. So the Earth Charter ends with this hopeful vision. Let ours be a time remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life. that's what I'm looking for. So thank you.
So beautiful. And
Really
Sue, I wanted to mention, and I don't know if you realize it, we developed, when we launched 11 Days of Global Unity, we developed something called the Global Declaration of Interdependence. And the Global Declaration of Interdependence not only celebrates all the other declarations of interdependence that have been created, it was actually done in partnership with the Earth Charter Initiative. We worked with them and got their blessing basically to be inspired to write those 11 lines of the declaration, which of course the Earth Charter is a huge document, and so much went into it. So the exciting thing is yesterday we for the Interdependence Day, we actually read it together as part of the broadcast. But anyway, so
I also wanted to add to it too that Rick and Sue and I have co-created a musical coloring book for the 11 Gardens of Global Unity, and it is uniting the elders with the youth for the love of our planet, and that's on Amazon right now. So, and we'll be donating money back into We the World so that we can actually start to see the results of actually creating these virtual gardens online, and then taking this vision that Sue and I had together on land and really seeing these gardens of global unity and talking in each community how we can grow more kindness and unity in each community, and really making it so that it's not such a big job like, oh, we need world peace. We need peace in each community. We need peace in each little garden. We need peace and kindness in each little neighborhood, in each little community. So kindness and unity in our community. And that was a vision that Sue and I had. We brought it to Rick, and all of this has come into manifestation with the three of us. So I'm so grateful.
yes, and I'm grateful too. Let's bring Brother Phil back in to the conversation. And Phil, any comments about what you've heard so far, and also about the, I gave the kind of big picture earlier about the challenges that we're facing. How can we find our way forward, do you think? And of course, please talk about the important work that you've done over the years and what's coming up for you as well.
Right. Well, I'm so happy Sister Sue shared throughout this concept. We are one human family. That's a spiritual and scientific reality. Whether we want to accept it or not accept it, or wonder what part of the other part of the human family we're related to, so to speak. But the fact is, we are one human family. And the hurt of one is the hurt of all. And the honor of one is the honor of all. Looking back over my 52 years of working on this, mainly working on healing my own self, because I don't really think Mother Earth's sick. I think we, as a human family, were sick. Mother Earth does just fine without us. It seemed like it did for quite a few billions of years. We show up, and of course, I really believe all this is part of a process, because our prophecies told even before we met here in the Americas, we were going to meet, and by the way, I think it was inevitable we meet. We're curious. Human beings are curious. This world is round. So you're going to get together sooner or later. And so, I think that our prophecies all across the Americas, I think that was a thing that gave us strength to endure. Because, last century, early part of last century, there was books being written all over saying the vanishing American, vanishing, vanishing, vanishing. Now, have we vanished? No. Today, we see across the Americas and around the world a movement of human beings. And I want to say that we talk about indigenous people and understand the reason why United Nations, there's a sense of those when we're fighting for our rights and so forth. But I want to introduce another concept of what I believe to be a member of our human family. And that is, if you or your beloved ones have been born and nourished upon the sacred breasts of Mother Earth, you are a human being. You are an indigenous person of Mother Earth. Now, that's another way to frame it. And I believe in order to turn this thing around, number one, we have to frame it that way. We have to understand that all of us are in this together. And it's so interesting because you're talking about the other thing I want to comment on 2030. We also are looking forward to the beginning. And I think it's really important to define, at least define it from our perspective. And I would call this the lesser peace. That is where people put down the weapons, the main weapons of destruction. There's so much that has to be done in terms of healing, in terms of change. I remember good brother Rex Weiler, who you may know, who's co-founded Greenpeace. We were speaking here the other day, and I asked him, I said, Rick, when do you think the human family is going to wake up to the fact we're on the path of destruction? He said, and he always has these beautiful insights to share, He said, Phil, he said, over 2 billion human beings as we sit here today, and I'm sitting in the beautiful Walla Walla Valley, so rich. 2 billion human beings today are without decent water to drink, clean water to drink, without enough food to eat, without a place to live. And that number is growing. The extremes of wealth and poverty are increasing. Now, so what do we do? There's all kinds of things to do. Well, it's interesting to note that if we go back over 30 years or so, there's been, and I hope I get this number right, but it's pretty close. There's been 32 international meetings, conferences, COP21, 22s, like COP21 in Paris was at, Rio plus 20. There's been 32 to nation states come together with the full authority of their governments, and the situation is worse than it's ever been. So, Article 16 of the international treaty that we developed at the same time, based on 9 years of consultation with indigenous people across the hemisphere, we knew in Rio that this little tiny thing they were going over, a few little degrees or whatever, with nobody being held accountable, there'd be no way, shape, or form. And that's one nice thing about everybody came to unity, at least for a little while. And at that time, we issued a press release that said urgent message or urgent call. We have to stop runaway climate change. We are in beginnings of runaway climate change. That's a fact. Now, I'm sure there's those that would disagree. And I don't believe, by the way, in this either or thinking. I don't think it's either, it's a natural cycle unfolding and it always happens and all this stuff happens. Or we can just say, are only humans. How about if both are happening at the same time? How about if we're into already a cycle, but then you have the human dimension has taken and accelerated it. So nobody can foretell what the heck's going on. And that's exactly what's going on. It seems like they say it's going to be here, but the next time we hear it's there. So I think that now I'll get back to this thing about we're sick as human beings. I think really, truly, if we look at the increase of violence, of all the things going on in the world today, that to me is a sign of what Ann Wilson Schaaf so beautifully written some years ago called When Society Becomes an Addict. When society becomes an addict, when global society becomes an addict. So we have this idea of this consumption model that, if I'm a head of a corporation, I got to make sure those stockholders get more and more money, and I got to make sure I get what's due me. I've got my billions, millions, whatever they pull out of this deal. And so what's happened is we've taken the most brilliant minds. I think about this sometimes. I say, I remember going through university and so forth. They used to give me tests, examinations for how well I was prepared. I'd like to do one for the universities and colleges of the world. They have been preparing the environmentalists. They've been preparing the legal people who are standing up for justice. They've been preparing everybody else out there to help us have a better world. And I'll tell you, when you read each one of these goals or mission statements of what it is to be a great doctor or a great engineer or whatever, it's all about uplifting the human family. So what is the I guess report card would give to universities and colleges in terms of what they produce? We've had way more millions and millions of whatever it is we're turning out in universities and colleges. Now, so what I'm suggesting is that this part here that's been so hurt as a human family, we've come to a place, and like this elder told me, he said, grandson, you're never going to solve all the problems before you solely through the intellect. Because for every problem the intellect solves, it creates 10 more. That's the nature of the intellect. It's its gift. We don't have to condemn it. But at the same time, until the heart opens, and the heart opens and the tears flow and the heart and mind are one, can we resolve and dissolve the state of consciousness in which the challenges are and arise to a new understanding. But he said the longest road in the world is from the head to the heart. Okay. So it's a thing of us ourselves as a human family waking up. First of all, obviously, after all these years, the governments, we want to hold them responsible every bit we can, but they're not going to do it. That's a fact. I don't care. I mean, they want to, maybe, or maybe, they have other deals going on, but it's going to be us as a human family. And the foundation is we're one. We've got to stand together. And I think be principle centered. That's why the beginning of our work has been developing the guiding principles. Right now, it's going to quickly here, so because we have time, but I think the most important project we're focused on is one we've been working on since 1989, when through the work of Dr. Raymond Obamso and Oneida brother, we've really been exploring the what we call an International Institute for Indigenous Science. We begin to look at the wealth we have in our herbal medicines. And Time magazine happened to come out at the same time, and they also as well in their research. So we know this, about 25,000 or more plants were domesticated for use for healing in medicinal purposes by indigenous people around the world, about 25,000. As of 1992, and I'm sure this has increased some, although indigenous people really wised up when they saw our herbs and things being taken and then run through some laboratories, next thing you know, they were patented. So a lot of these medicines are there behind the scenes, but not being developed. But only Western medicine's only penetrated about 1,200. Okay, now what does that bring back to the Amazon? Well, first of all, I think we have to deal with the Amazon, we need to be thinking about the Amazon as the Amazon bioregion. We've got to realize that when we're focusing just on Brazil, most of the fires were burning in Bolivia. So what is it common between Brazil and Bolivia? You have two different presidents, one standing for indigenous people from his words, the other on the other side. And yet somehow or another, both in Bolivia and Brazil, the same burning is the same. So that means the conditions in the rainforest of Brazil and Bolivia must be the same. How can that be? Unless somehow the same policies are happening. But also we have to look at Ecuador and the whole bioregion. Now, I believe what's missing and what we put together and are now in the final process since 1989, and also a wonderful, wonderful visit down to the Amazon for about 10 days with sponsored wonderfully by Amazon Watch and Pachamama Alliance. It's so clear that part of the argument that we don't have yet, but I think we do have, and that's this. We can all agree that those of us who are thinking and agreeing and understanding what's happening in terms of the moral issues of destroying the very homelands and destroying the very people, their lives, the indigenous people. We can see that we're destroying 20% of our lung capacity as a human family in a global sense. We can see, the killing and destroying of something for more than decades, for centuries. We can all agree to that. Those of, they'll call us environmentalists or just human beings, are waking up and say, hey, just a minute, what's going on here? The one part of the argument, I think, especially I think that the Chinese, they have they think long range. They have long range thinking. That I believe we can demonstrate, and I'll be happy to share this if you're interested.
Yes.
We're going to get ready to release this. We're going to do a press release on the 18th in New York City, releasing this press release of the Institute and this vision that while our I guess Principal Center, I'd say this: the way forward is to stand in the strength we have, to move towards the positive alternative we wish to create without giving our energy away finding the negative. Now, there's got to be those who are protecting. So I think it's good to protect, but we also have to be able to restore. And so this is about providing an alternative path that will give the economic argument so that somebody can say, economically, if you just look at this thing clearly, here's the facts. 40 years from now, you're going to if in partnership with, under the leadership of the indigenous people of the Amazon bioregion, you can develop more medicines, more help for the human family, ecotourism. There's medicines down there that can help transform people's minds and hearts and help the sickness the human family have. In fact, I'd like to see all the world leaders be taken right deep in the Amazon there and have some of those medicines that our relatives know so well down there and have the whole group.
I'd love to see that myself, Phil.
Probably they'd be us the first time they'd walk back in, somebody assassinate all of them because they'd have such a different point of view than their handlers, so to speak. And that's to say, I sure would hate to be in a position these world leaders are in and taking these kind of decisions, and really of an addict, a global addict. And that's all I can call it. We've become a global addict, addicted. Even though we can see what is happening, we still sit down and have the same habits when we eat. When we handle our garbage, the same thing, just like an addict.
Do you think, I was just going to ask, do you think, it's not, this is something just because it's bringing it up as you're talking, Phil. Do you think consumerism is a big part of our climate problem too? Like, it just seems like there's always another iPhone coming out or another, and everybody just needs to have the best of the best. And they're, that story of stuff. Can you touch on that a little bit, Phil?
Yes, and I guess that really, I was just using other words for consumerism. Call it consumerism, that kind of nice way for it. The other part is just you've been trained. Every human being, I believe, is born with this capacity. In fact, I really believe, there's a beautiful teaching that says, my first counsel is this: possess a pure, kindly, and radiant heart, that yours may be a sovereignty, ancient and perishable and everlasting. So I believe each one of us are these sacred beings. Now, each of us have this, it's almost like a part of us to know. You see little babies, they're exploring. They're looking all the time. We have that within us. So what happens in our traditional indigenous cultures, way back, in fact, all of us were part of those. All of us sat before the sacred fire, everybody here in this conversation. We were taught while we had to survive and have food, that was important. We're also taught and trained to acquire spiritual qualities. In order to live in a communal, you might say, respectful, individual, but collective way, you had to have spiritual qualities. So if you have a child, it's like a coloring book, you're going to teach them about the 16 principles. If you educate that child to acquire spiritual qualities, that journey goes on forever because we'll never acquire enough. Now, on the other hand, if we train the children to consume.
Oops, we lost your volume. We lost your volume there.
Oh, no,
I'm excited, and all of a sudden you were a mime.
My hands, but if
you still look great. You still look great.
Children are not about consumerism. That's the purpose of life. That's what we're being taught.
Right. That was a big thing that I did because I designed a board game called Let's Save Our Earth and was going into the schools. And I saw that if I could teach the children about consumerism and consumer power, that they would get interested in Rainforest Crunch cereal, and they would talk to their parents about it, because it's just so much more gentle coming from a child. And so like I would go into the local health food store, and I would see the kids, and the parents would be in the cereal aisle, and the mom would be grabbing the regular old yucky old cereal, and the kid would say, no, Miss Kindness says that this cereal would be really good for us, and it helps our earth, and it's really healthy, and it's going to be, and the mom says, well, I always buy this cereal, and the little kid says, well, I really would like to try this cereal. Mom, can we try the cereal? And she goes, okay, let's try the cereal. And this is what I mean. Like if we give these children, like what I just watched Greta last night on the Daily Show, Greta Thunberg, and she is just an incredible speaker, and she's really waking up the planet, and I'm so grateful for her.
Yes.
I wanted to, since you're talking about consumerism,
Thank you.
I have to mention our dear friend Reverend Billy and the Church of Stop Shopping.
I love that.
I played keyboards with him for 10 years, and he goes around the country with the Stop Shopping Gospel Choir and says Earth-alleluia to everyone.
Do you know a website of that? That's awesome.
RevBilly.com.
RevBilly.com. Okay.
And they're doing a song that I wrote for Reverend Billy called The Shopocalypse, which is about the end of the world because of shopping. The Shopocalypse.
And I have one that I developed with some friends, the story of stuff you mentioned about consumerism and the effect that it's having on us, had two youth versions done as faith-based. And so we decided, well, we'd like to do one that's interfaith, and began with anyway, we developed 6 lessons that help to help people find a faith-based way of looking at this. And so that's something I hope we can develop together as time goes on. And I want to just mention again how significant the interfaith work is with Green Faith and Interfaith Power and Light. So many different organizations are working with people who have that deep sense of moral responsibility for caring for the planet and for the people in all life. So that's meaningful to me.
I'm so happy you shared that, Rick. I really want to learn more about your friend and that music, because, I think music is the thing that really unites us and helps us to see that we all have different harmonies. The one verse song, we are one song. And when we realize that we all have different harmonies, we really do come together as a beautiful orchestra of amazing. And I love that there's so much consciousness coming into music now. There's more people. Even Taylor Swift has written a song, "We Need to Calm Down." I mean, even Taylor Swift is writing songs about we need to calm down, and I think that when we all start to realize what Chief Phil has just said to us, we're all in this human family. We're all in this together. And the only illusion that needs healing is the idea that we're not. Because that's the only thing that really needs the healing. We're all in this together. And one hurt is a hurt of all, hurt of one, hurt all, honor of one, honor all. I just got that hashtag for us, Phil.
Yes. And
that's great.
Karen, if I might add at this
yes.
point, and you're talking about music, we got to organize things around quaternity or fourness, Jung called it, the medicine wheel. And so we see our interaction with the various worlds around us through different symbol systems as a way we mediate experience. So this physical world, of course, is all forms of mathematics, every dimension of mathematics. The human world, it's non-verbal and non-verbal communications, right? Now, how do we media experience to the unknown world? What brings us in contact with the unknown world? What draws us onto the unknown worlds? It's the arts. It's so important to understand the arts in all their forms are the so critical. And what are we doing? Cutting art out of all the curricula. But that's what brings us in contact with the unknown or the spiritual world. And then when you combine the different art forms, music, dance, drums, rhythm, even painting, sand painting, you combine that together, we have living, rich ceremony. And so I see more and more the arts have to be at the core of what we're doing. The arts to express ourselves in every way. So on with those coloring books on the 16 principles. And also the great work you're doing, Sue. My gosh.
I'm sure Sue and Rick will be a part of that also.
Absolutely.
It's all co-creation.
That's right. And I'll tell you, I got to say that this idea at 75 winners or 80 winners or winning all this, it's just beginning. I mean, this is not the end gate. I think about coming back home to Walla Walla, where I went to high school and played sports here and so forth. But you know, when you run a 400 meters, you got 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters. Now, the place you got to be strong on anything, the last 100 meters, that last quarter, that's where you have to be strong. And Sue, that's exactly what our grandmothers and grandfathers, we're going to stand up and you know, and I get in my bed of pity once in a while. I get down there, oh God, it's terrible. Oh, Dad, why didn't he tell me about, oh, he did tell me about this already. Oh, God, what's that hurt? Oh my gosh, you know, poor guy. You know, it's easy to do it. So I'm not preaching about anything. I'm just saying, you know, it's just sooner or later going to make a decision. How do I want to leave this place? Do I want to, you know, fall before I get to the finish line or crawl across? Or I want to go across strong.
I ran track too, brother. In high school, I was on the track team.
Yeah.
And if I see a bus like 2 blocks away, I can catch it. I still have the legs.
Yeah, but where did you have to dig it? Where did you have to really push it?
It was, I'll never forget. I was on a relay race and I was running the quarter mile and I handed off the baton but I was beyond I was over my head, you know, and I handed it off and I crashed to the ground and I actually lost consciousness. That's how much I was pushing myself.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And so that is where we're at now collectively as a human family. We're just as desperate a condition, and this is not desperate getting old, but I'm saying this is time now to dig in. It's time. We can't just, you know, give in to advertising has a doggone bunch of cereal for our grandchildren, just chock full of sugar and stuff that kills them. And yet, you know, some little thing they've created by hiring the best psychologists in the world down there to figure out how to advertise to get us, you know, it's anyway. But at certain points, there's just no words to say. I mean, certain places, all you can do is laugh. I used to cry. Now I laugh more. I still cry, but I laugh to be a little bit better.
So I suggest that we use all of that psychology and the science of advertising and pump it into the positive, and let's do healthy healing things and make that much more a priority to do what needs to be done so that we can have a healthy future.
Absolutely. And having programs like what Phil's talking about in our schools, you know,
Yes.
to really embrace this beginning with their, you know, preschool and going all the way up to high school, and then having the high school kids come back and mentor the little ones. And
Yes.
then that's going to change our whole dynamic. It's going to change, you know, in one generation, we can wipe out violence and poverty. If we were to really work with the children, I really believe that. That's why I spend so many hours that I do with the children.
Yes.
it's a blessing to be with them also, because they haven't forgotten who they are, and they're just like Phil was saying, they're still wide awake, you know, and they're kind of looking at our crazy society and saying, well, why wouldn't we want more peace in the world, and why do we have all these wars? And they're really asking, why are we having, you know, why would we hurt the environment?
Right.
And so these children are going to be our kindness leaders. These children are going to be the compassion educators, and they're going to be the peacemakers for our world. And I think that what we're talking about right now is really seeing that, to empower them and to encourage them and to cultivate what's already there, because it's already there.
You know, another, I might, if I may, Karen, at this point, the other, I mean, there's a number of things we're working on. One of the things we're working on is we created a tremendous amount of curricula for children, walking with grandfather, which it's got a whole curricula. That's
Is there a website for that?
That's what I'm going to get to.
Okay,
So
great.
we've been a whole thing with Roots and Shoots and Jane Goodall. She came together on that. We've got all kinds of curricula, as well as for how do you address at the time of disclosure of sexual abuse. You see, we had so much healing to go through. We've had generated this incredible amount of curricula for children to come out of the healing, to come out of the hurt with the healing. Now we want to take this, where we're at, the project we're working on is to take all that curricula, find people who will work with us and update it and bring it in the digital world and bring it all up to date so the human family has access to 40 years of healing materials and work and understanding about healing in under the most terrible conditions, but also how do we bring our children back to the teachings of the medicine wheel? How do we bring them back to the teaching about life? So that's another project we're working on. So it sounds like there might be some coherence here.
I would absolutely love to help with that. Yeah, I would love to help with that. And I do have a lot of expertise in organizing things digitally, so I'll be happy to help with that.
Yeah, Jane Goodall has been a pioneer in that intergenerational movement that she has started with Roots and Shoots. And in fact, Roots and Shoots was an integral part of the launch of 11 Days of Global Unity 15 years ago. Yes. Jane Goodall, along with Marianne Williamson, they both gave keynotes at the launch in New York City in 2004. And Jane brought her whole team up from, I think a Washington DC area. And then we flew the giant peace doves that Jane and they had giant peace doves being made around the world for the International Day of Peace.
Beautiful.
And also with Roots and Shoots, we collaborated with Jane with the Urgent Message from Your Children project, which is where we interviewed 29 children about their fears, their concerns, and their hopes for the future of the planet. And 12 of those kids were from the Roots and Shoots, one of the Roots and Shoots classes in elementary school, all 12 years old and down to 5 years old.
I would like to mention that Roots and Shoots fits right into our Gardens of Global Unity. So we're going to be growing, sowing and growing a culture of peace and helping young people to make action plans for these different anniversaries that are coming up, and have the elders and the adults and to help them be successful, tap into these networks that we know about and have been developing for all these years. And so to be a resource person for the young people is our goal.
Yes. Exactly. So as we wind up, maybe we can go around and let people know what we can do together that we can't do on our own, which means kind of share your websites and how people can connect with you to support your efforts and be part of this ever expanding movement. And Chief Phil, would you like to give how people can connect with you?
Sure. Our website is fwii.net. We're just moving to they call it a 3.0, whatever that means, platform from where we work. So we're in the process of changing that. You can email me directly. My private email is Phil Lane Jr., PhilLanejr, Phil Lane Jr. @gmail.com. Phil Lane Jr. @gmail.com. And also, I'm on Facebook. And by the way, I enjoy Facebook. I know all those things about Facebook, but I find a lot of relationship building. I think number one is community. That's what we are building now. That's the way we're going to get through this, is through community, both from the inner world, everywhere, spirit, this one right now, this world, and outside, community. So there's 3 different ways.
That's great.
I always love prayers. So you got any prayers to send my way, please send them. I can sure use them. You know, everybody that's around me too. Thank you.
And Sue?
Yeah, so to contact me directly is Sue Blythe at wetheworld.org. And I do invite everyone to visit the gardensofglobalunity.org. And that is definitely in its very early stages, but we invite you to help develop that. And probably the best way to do that is go to We the World's website, which is we.net. And when you look at that orange menu bar, just click on Take Action, and it'll give you several options for ways that you can help out. And maybe I'll mention that eldersclimateaction.org is a wonderful way for those of us who are older to create community, for one thing. That's probably, for me, the most important aspect of this is, as Brother Phil was saying, creating community through this online network is really quite a remarkable phenomenon that no other generation before us has had. And so to be able to use that in support of these young people. And then one other I'd like to mention is the Earth Charter, and that's earth.org. And so there's plenty to be done, and we can work on it together.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Karen?
Yep, the best way people can get in touch with me is really just the hub of globalkindnesstv.org. And you can follow me on all social media. I'm Mindful Media Mom, and I help amplify anybody who is having struggles with getting their voice out into the world. I'm also available at Karen Palmer at wetheworld.org. I'm a spokesperson and live stream expert for We the World and for many other organizations. So anybody who wants to really get their message out in a big way, I've kind of learned how. So I'd love to share it with you. I feel like, you know, it's an important thing that we can do. Also, please like our page on Facebook. If you like facebook.com/the We campaign, you'll get notifications whenever we're live. And Sue has been putting out some incredible content. Heidi Little has been putting some amazing content. Every day we have an incredible summit going on every day for the 11 days of global unity. And Rick is just an incredible, beautiful, collaborative, kind man. And I just am so grateful to be able to work side by side with all of my beautiful human family. So those are the best ways to connect with me.
Thank you. And I'll just mention that if people would like to connect with We the World, if you just go to we.net, you can become part of the We team. Right on the homepage there's a way to become a We campaign coordinator with the We team. You can sign up your organization to participate in one or more of these 11 campaigns for change. We have the Global Unity Calendar, which is a wonderful international resource. It's free public international calendar that's shared with many other organizations. So when you post on our calendar, it shows up on multiple websites, like on the Compassion Games website. And I just want to mention a new challenge that has just started today, and it's called #PlasticChallenge. And it's so interesting. I just thought I'd mention it on our environment panel. Apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently half of all plastic ever made by humans was produced since 2005, which is an incredible concept, right? So, and as we all know, plastic, like single-use plastic and all of that, is clogging our oceans and all parts of our environment. So the plastic challenge is for 1 week to stop using single-use plastic for 1 week and document your successes and your challenges with your comments and photos. And of course, also support local and national laws to reduce and eliminate single-use plastic. So the hashtag is #Plastic Challenge. And I heard this on one of my favorite talk shows, which is Brian Lehrer. So it's at Brian Lehrer, which is LEHRER. And you can also use the hashtag @TheWeCampaign and see what we can do to reduce plastic in our lives. So to wind us up, Brother Phil, would you do us the honor of offering some closing words?
Yes, very honored. And I just want to remember all those who've gone on to the worlds beyond us, those worlds of light, who are closer than our closest vein, all those beloved ones who have made the path clear by walking it before us. We ask that we might reach out through that everywhere spirit that connects each and every one of our center. As Black Elk said, the center of the universe is everywhere, that we can be right there together at this time and realize fully that there is nothing in heaven, earth, no power that is going to stop the fulfillment of the sacred prophecies of our maturity as a human family, where we truly recognize our true reality of who we are, and that everything that does come to challenge us is really there to help us move further forward in our perfection, that nothing's coming in our path that does not come for our own perfection, for our own growth, for our own development. We give thanksgiving to we the world, thanksgiving to all those who are putting their hearts and minds together like one heart and one mind in many bodies.
Thank you so much, Phil. And our dear friend Jonathan Granoff kind of sums it up. He says, "I hope we expand so much that there is no longer any them."
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be featuring Jonathan Granoff, so stay tuned. We have some incredible, more amazing guests coming up, and tomorrow is social justice, and we will be live on Saturday morning.
I think it's economic justice,
Economic justice. We have
Hazel Henderson. Yeah.
Yes, we have tomorrow. That's going to be at 10 a.m. So we will be live here.
Pacific time, yes.
Pacific time. And we will be live in Eastern at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And you can make sure that you turn on your notifications to like the We campaign page on Facebook, and you'll get notifications whenever we are live. We also have several incredible interviews and premieres that are happening throughout the 11 days. We are featuring tons of amazing organizations and cross-promoting many organizations that are doing the work out in the world and really living this vision of unity consciousness. And we've done it online. Now let's take it on land. And we have something really special here that we're offering for these 11 days of global unity. And I just want each person who's watching this to really share this out and make sure that you watch it with your family, watch it with your grandchildren, watch it with, and talk about the stuff and talk about the consumerism and talk about how we can all be part of the solution, and that each one of us is part of the solution. And that when we really start to see our sovereignty as beautiful Chief Phil Lane Jr. shared with us, and we start to really step into the wisdom of the ages, and we really start to live the principles, the beautiful principles that have been written. Is there a place where people can read those, Phil?
Yes. They're in many different spots, but they're also on fwii.net.
Okay, great.
Well. We have different places on Facebook too, or they're all over the place.
They're all over the place. So just put that in there.
Or send an email to me. Yeah, send an email to me. That's fine.
Send an email. Yeah, send an email. And thank you everyone so much. Remember, let's go from a me society to a we society with the 3 I's.
Inspire, inform, and involve.
And that's
3 I's that make a we.
3 I's that make a we.
Got it. Good
Let's
one.
go from that what's in it for me to what's in it for we.
Good. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.